We don't have fish sound.
Oh, really? In USA, there's goop goop.
We will have blah, 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 blah. But that's just...
That's you. That's not Taiwan. That's Anita's fish
No,
sound.
because the fish will have like a bubble coming out of their mouth. So we'll just say blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny because in Taiwan, so many Taiwanese people love fish. You would think there would be a sound for it.
But to be honest, fish doesn't make any sound. Unless
true.
there's a whale or something else.
Oh, that's true. Who's raising a whale, Anita?
Oh.
This is episode 46, talking about pets. Meow meow, woof woof, tweet tweet. It is time for you to meet the strange animals that we have in Taiwan and the USA. What's going on, everybody? My name is Eric, and today I have a little special announcement to share with you before we dive on in today's episode. We are going to have a new thing on buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica where you can not only be able to donate to Taiwanica directly, but also if you want to have one-on-one classes with either Anita or Eric, me, there, you can also purchase them there. So definitely check them out right after this episode. Finally, we have one more special announcement at the end of this episode, which is about guilty pleasures. Whose guilty pleasures? We'll find out soon. Now, let's dive on in today's episode. What's going on, Anita?
I'm good.
All right. That's great.
You talked a lot today.
I am chipper, like a bird.
Burr, burr.
Burr, burr. Wow. Wow. Is that a sound for birds in the United States?
You know.
Wow. I don't know what country your bird's from, but we'll find out later,
Russia.
I guess. Oh, wow. If you're Russian, you're listening to this, definitely let us know.
I love you.
Yes, if that is your bird sound. All right. So if you want to send pictures of your dogs to us, we will be happy to post them on Taiwanica Podcast Instagram for a collage photo for this episode.
That'll be great. This will be like a little event. We can share our pets too. We only have one.
Yes, and if you want to know where you can send that, we will put our email down in the description below. But if you want to just look up quickly, it's taiwanicapodcast@gmail.com. Very easy to find. So go ahead and send us an email there if you'd like to.
Yeah, for sure. And I will also create something that we can do on Instagram too. So stay tuned on our podcast, Taiwanica Podcast Instagram.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
All right. So we're going to dive into today's episode.
Yeah.
So just to, warm up here, we're going to talk about what are some of the common pets that you would see in Taiwan, Anita?
Definitely dogs and cats.
You had to think about that cat for a second there.
Yeah, I was thinking. Well, I was kind of debating like birds or cats because I also heard a lot of my friends they are having birds or fish. But now that I think about it, definitely the top two is dogs and cats.
Interesting. Yeah, for us in the USA, I would say they are definitely the same. Dogs and cats. But we also really like birds and fish. But I would definitely say the majority is dogs.
Yeah.
And then cats.
Dogs and cats, yeah. Pretty much the same in Taiwan. But, sometimes if you go to a park, about like 70-80% of people are like walking their dogs and petting their cats. But there are some people who have like lizard, like the big one. There's also very common in some cities and some places. And you can definitely get them from the pet store.
Yes. In United States, you can definitely find lizards and other type of reptiles like frogs or even smaller stuff like geckos, stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of exotic animals, but it really just depends on which pet store you go to. Usually the smaller, more secretive pet stores that aren't technically supposed to have these pets.
It's like definitely illegal, possibility.
Possibility is quite high. You don't know where they came from, but you want one, so you get one there kind of thing. But generally speaking, if you go to a large pet store, which we have lots of them here in the USA, you're not going to find anything except for usually fish, maybe some puppies, maybe some kittens, but usually just fish and maybe some reptiles or a hamster.
Hamsters are definitely a thing in Taiwan too.
Yeah, so those kind of pets are the most common. But I know in Taiwan you can definitely get a dog or a puppy, usually at most pet stores. Is that right?
Speak of pet stores, they are very, very common in Taiwan. You can definitely get any kind of dogs that you can imagine in the pet store, or cats or rabbit or like hamster and all those kind of things. It's very, very easy to get those kind of pets. But I wanted to mention about dogs and cats because recently people having how do you say that? They've been educated that we should treat cats and dogs nicer, so we don't support people buying pets because those are from we don't know where is that from. Maybe from the how do you call it, the
Puppy mill?
Yes, they were not treating puppy very nicely.
Or kitten farm.
Yeah, they were just producing as much as they can
to make money.
So they normally don't treat those animals nicely. So people are starting to say, oh, we should adopt the dogs or cats. So you can still find puppies or dogs or cats in the pet stores, but I will say they're getting less and less.
Interesting. Yeah, I would say United States is pretty far ahead of this.
Yeah, that's true.
Where we are very common to, if we see, for example, stray pets or animals out on the streets, they're almost immediately picked up and scanned for a chip inside their head. If they do have a chip, then their owner is notified. If not, then they usually are taken to a shelter or a pound. If it's a shelter, usually they take very good care of the animal and make sure that it's, pampered until either A, it finds a new home, or B, it's, safe with a bunch of other animals that don't have homes quite yet. Conversely, if they are taken to a pound, they're not put in very good conditions, and they are given kind of a life sentence where if they are not adopted within an X amount of time, they will be put down or put to sleep, unfortunately. Is the case because there's sometimes places where there's just too many animals and so they have to take these extreme measures. So this is a part of America's dark side when it comes to pets, but we are generally creating more and more pet-friendly policies.
For sure.
Yeah, so for example, there's a lot of public spaces for pets.
That's true.
Like there are dog parks everywhere. And so at those dog parks, you can take your dog off its leash and it can go play with other dogs and explore. There's a lot of places where they can have fun. For example, right next to our house, there's a dog park where they actually have set up a fake fire hydrant where the dogs can go pee on and smell. And they have a lot of places to run and chase after balls. It's quite beautiful, actually, when you look at it. And then on the other hand, for other animals, you don't technically see a lot of cat cafes here in the United States because we're worried about the hygiene and the safety of the cats in particular parts of the United States, so you don't usually see those happening around here.
I think what we were talking about, there are two key points I think is very interesting and we can talk more about that. The first one is the pet friendly. You guys have to have really, really friendly here. The really good example is wherever you go, most of the store, especially coffee shop like Starbucks or any kind of coffee shop, they will have a dog food tray outside of their store, or the place that dog can drink some water. And if you go to Starbucks or any kind of coffee shop, even the drive-through, they will also give the puppy something to, some treats.
Doggy treat.
Doggy treat. This is so cute. I love it. And most of the store, they are welcome any your dogs or cats to walk in. So I think it's definitely a shock for me because in Taiwan, not many stores will allow pets to go inside, especially they probably will have sign on the outside say, oh, no pets allowed, unless it's like what you said, the Neko Cafe, the cat coffee shop, this specified as the dog cafe or the cat's coffee, then you can go inside. And and another one is the dog park. You mentioned about leash. In America, you guys have a special of the leash, right?
Yes, leash on at all times, unless at a park or in the home. That's pretty much the leash policy. If it's not, and something were to happen, you can, well, welcome to America, get sued. Okay.
By who?
By whomever is attacked by the dog for whatever purpose. So, for example, my sister, she has a wonderful dog, but she hates other dogs. And so if she were to not have a leash on and to attack another dog, then technically that family could sue me for, or my sister for having the dog off the leash. So it's a policy that everyone strictly follows. Of course, sometimes if the dog is really well trained, the person will take it off the leash and test the barriers of how much restriction the dog would be able to take. But generally speaking, you're going to see every dog with a leash on.
Oh, wow.
That's not the truth in Taiwan, right?
No, it's not. We don't normally use leash at all. Like, yeah, it's not, definitely not something that you require in order to have a pet or walk with it or with your dog outside. No.
And I think that's good for the dog.
I think so, but there are pros and cons, like just like you say, to avoid I did heard about some like dog attacking kids. That this kind of incident happened from time to time. It's not very common, but I definitely heard about that. So I think there's pros and cons. If you have a dog with a leash on, yeah, it probably will be uncomfortable for the dog, but you can avoid some kind of a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Even though we don't really sue people in Taiwan, but
In order to avoid any sort of extreme circumstance, it's better to have a leash on the dog just in case they're not well trained.
Yeah, about dog training, we will, including that in the late part of this episode.
Absolutely. And so I think it's just very interesting overall, the differences. But one of the other ones I really wanted to highlight right now was the legal status of pets in the United States and in Taiwan.
Okay.
Before I dive into the United States, can you tell us a little bit about Taiwan?
In Taiwan, we still consider your pets is your property. It's not considered as your family member.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like something that you owned. Of course, you have to be, in charge of your so-called properties behavior if your dog attacking other people, sort of things like that. But by law, the dogs or the cats are considered your property.
So do the local people of Taiwan consider pets as objects?
It depends. Some people just definitely seen a lot of people calling their babies like, "Oh, I'm your mama," or like, "Oh, you," or the mom has a baby, like real human baby, and the dogs or cats will say, "Oh, you guys are brothers and sisters," and things like that. Definitely, more and more people consider pets as their family.
Okay, so it's kind of like a mixed bag. You'll have some people who say, yeah, it's my pet, but it's kind of just a thing that I own. And other people will be like, no, it's just like
It's
my baby.
Yeah. So just like you say, in America, you guys have a few steps ahead of us. Everybody in America, they consider their pets their families, right?
Well, mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like not more of a mixed bag. Instead, it's more of a majority of people would say that a pet is a family member. So much so that when you are growing up with the pet, we would say that's definitely like your sister or brother. And even to some extreme cases, which is I want to dive into right now, where some people who are quite fortunate or who have a very deep bond with their pet, they will pamper that pet to such an extreme where they would consider it like truly one of their children. So they would give them very nice things, whether it's jewelry or very nice clothes, or even maybe their own miniature car, Some things are just so outrageous and luxurious that you would think, wow, if only they spent that money somewhere else. But they really have a deep bond to that point where in the United States, it's actually considered normal to include your pet that you have a deep connection to in your will, in your life-ending paper, right? So... And I think that's really interesting because some people who are truly extreme and just want to spite their family, this has been known in the United States, where someone who was very well off and had a fortune that they could leave to their family, instead of doing so, they decided to donate all of their fortune to their pet.
My goodness. So I don't understand. So if they give the pet all of their like assets, and then what happened?
So what happens afterwards is that while the pet is alive, all those assets technically belong to the pet. And by law, no one can do anything about it.
Gotcha.
So right afterwards, when the pet passes away, but technically all of the assets just go back to the state, so the government.
Gets the
so
money.
no, the family just gets really mad because technically when the person passes away, they're just saying, you know, you're never going to get my money. I'm giving it all to my dog, and when he's gone, it's all gone. So see you later.
So dramatic.
Right? So interesting point of view when you make a family, like a pet, a family member in the United States.
Yeah.
You know.
Because it's by law,
By
that,
law.
you know, that you cannot touch it.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, huh?
It is. It's pretty crazy.
Hey, everybody. We hope you're enjoying today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. It's people like you who are helping us grow into a bigger and greater podcast. And we are offering you a great opportunity that is exclusive only here on Taiwanica. And that is our sub-channel, buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica. Over there, we have special content that is only available to you with a small donation. This donation helps us move forward, and you will be able to have all the exclusive access to this special content that is nowhere else. So we hope you can come join us there, and we can't wait for you to check it out. Thank you so much. So one thing I really wanted to ask you is about healthcare. You know, Taiwan's healthcare is incredible. Everyone knows it in the whole entire world. Taiwan's healthcare, awesome.
Yeah.
Cycle, you know. but what
Gotta think about that.
Yeah. What about Taiwan's healthcare for pets?
You know, unfortunately, again, because pets consider as a property, they are not human. They are not living beings. I don't know. Yeah, by law. So we don't have health insurance for pets, but the the vet are very common, and they are doing a great job. As long as you have a pet, you can just walk in with the vet. They're always very, very friendly to, you know, solve your problem, do their best to take care of your pets. You know, consider as a human when we go see a doctor, the money is going to be a little bit more, you know, originally a few thousand Taiwanese dollar, but I would say it's still considered as reasonable.
Yeah, that sounds like a very affordable price.
Yeah.
In the United States, it's quite high, and there is no insurance that covers any
At
of
all?
that. Well, you could probably purchase pet insurance, and then if you had frequent visits to go see a vet, so for example, if your cat or dog had a disease that constantly needed to be treated, you could purchase insurance to be able to cover something like that.
really?
Sure, there's insurance for everything in the United States.
But it's all private one, right?
Yes, yes, nothing public.
I see.
But on the other hand, if you just want to go see the vet for a very small yearly task, like taking care of their nails or maybe getting some shots, then there's not really insurance covering that, and you're going to have to pay out of pocket, and it's pretty high price.
Yeah, they will connect to another topic, which is adoption, because you guys all take care of everything, just like Taiwan. Actually, we will take care of everything that you need to do in order to, you know, adopt a pet.
Yeah, adopting a pet in the United States is actually pretty straightforward. When you want to get a pet, there's a myriad ways of doing it. You can go to a pet store to get one. You can go to a shelter, pound, just like I previously mentioned. Even at pet stores, they will have options where you could look up places to adopt. There are also foster families. The list goes on.
Yeah.
So the good news is that whenever you want to adopt a pet in the United States, there is a policy that pet needs to go through a few stages before that host family, the family that gets the pet, must achieve. And those things are getting their vaccines completed, making sure whether it's neutered or spayed so they can't reproduce, and also to check if it already has any diseases or not. So these are the policies that are in place for any sort of family who wants to adopt a dog from a public place. Privately, totally out of the question, but publicly, there's a lot of rules in place. And so that's everyone has a pet in the United States because it's pretty affordable to get one, and it's easy to maintain once you adopt it. On the other hand, if you buy one at a pet store, it's a whole different story. So,
could you give us a real quick steps how you adopt a pet in the United States?
Sure. So let's just give an example. So Anita and I actually tried to adopt a dog at the ending of last year. His name was Guinness, cute little Guinness, wonderful dog. But so when we saw Guinness, we saw him in a pet store. We were buying cat food for our cat, Tora, adorable cat. You can check her out on Instagram.
Having an adoption there.
That's right. So there was a sign for adoption, and they're saying, oh, we're looking for a family for this dog. We are the foster family taking care of him right now who's associated with this shelter. So are you interested in adopting him? And we said, yeah. So we got on to chatting, and I filled out a couple of pieces of paper, and then I had to communicate with the shelter directly about our financial situation and living situation. So we live in an apartment currently, and because of the size of the apartment, they had to ask us a few things, whether we had stairs or not, or where we were located, and all these sort of things. And so these were the points that we had to really make clear with the shelter, whether or not we had suitable living arrangements for the pet. And once we got the green light for all of those things, Guinness came to our house. And he was a great dog, wonderful, happy dog that our son really loved and very kind, but he was just too big. He was just too big for our house. So unfortunately, we had not have him anymore. But the good news is that all the foster families or places where you have shelters will usually give you a week test run so you can see whether or not it's a good fit. And so for us, it was not, unfortunately. So Guinness just went back to the shelter and went back into the system very easily, where he was capable of finding another home within another week or two.
Yeah. So yes, as a Taiwanese, I think this is amazing because they ask you a lot of questions, literally thinking ahead for this dog. Because in Taiwan, when we adopt a dog, they would just say, oh, have you had the experience of having a dog? You just say, yeah. And then they would just ask you that, you have to give him the food, you have to take good care of him. And the person says yes, and you can get the dog. It's pretty straightforward and easy. So, most of people just go to the shelter and say, oh, I want to adopt a dog, but they don't have the consideration is like the dog's personality. Different kinds of breed of dog, they will have their personal traits, right? Some dogs are quiet, some dogs are very active. And they don't really have this, consideration if their household is good for the pets or not. And because nobody had this kind of ideas in the back of their head, they just want the pet. It's good because they want the pets to find a home as soon as possible. But just in our case, right, Eric just gave you guys a really good example. It's like when you have a dog, we love the dog loves us, but unfortunately the environment is not the most ideal for him. Then, we have to consider a better life for this dog, because dog considered by law or by most of people, they are babies. So I think this is a really good policy here, and also the test period that will also give you see if you work well with this dog, or is this dog can cooperate with your schedule. Those kind of details most of people didn't really think about before they adopt a dog. So I think, some people that are really good at this kind of things, like taking care of those details, can really save a lot of problems. So that's also, I noticed there are very, very, very few of stray dogs here. Really, I only see one cat, but I think that cat choose to live in the wild, right?
Yeah.
So really very, very, very rare to see a stray dog. I think the whole system did a really good job in the United States.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you think so. I think the United States has had a lot of experience where it was bad for a long time. And now from those mistakes, we were able to learn and grow. And I think Taiwan is just a few steps behind. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a learning experience to be able to integrate these animals more as a living being rather than a piece of property.
Yeah.
And the more that happens and the more people actually understand this concept, I think people will start to create their own policies that are suitable for Taiwan as well.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we all know that America is a few steps ahead of us. And so Taiwan is kind of like developing stage. I would say it's way better than if you compare like 10 years ago. There are tons of dog abusing incident happen just because they don't understand the dog.
Wow.
Those kind of details they don't understand. Why is the cat, what is the dog like, barking, or what is it? They don't really, because they don't consider the dog is a living being. They just consider it property. But unfortunately, those kind of situations are changing for the better.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
It's really good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing Taiwanese point of view about animals today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm really glad everyone was able to learn from both Taiwan and America's point of view. A lot of differences in this. So definitely, if you didn't understand all of them, listen to it again because there's some pretty good knowledge about how to adopt a pet in both of these countries in this episode.
Yeah.
So diving into the ending part of our episode today, we have some fun that we want to share. First one is animal noises.
I love this topic because when I came here, I was like, what? This is a sound that you you imagine the animal makes in the United States?
All right, question for you. So just be honest.
Okay.
When you first were learning English, what was the sound that you thought dogs made in English?
Like before I learned about that?
Yeah.
It's wang wang.
Wang wang. Oh, because in
Chinese
it's wang wang.
Yeah, wang wang.
Oh, I see.
小狗汪汪叫。
小狗汪汪叫。
叫。
汪汪.
Which right now I hear it. It doesn't make any sense because it's definitely not a dog sound.
Yeah, well, some of the sounds that we decide on are pretty crazy.
Yeah,
like in English where a duck is quack quack, it's like doesn't sound anything like a duck. So anyways. Well, in English, it's woof woof
For dog?
or bow wow wow.
What's a bow wow wow?
That's another sound for dog.
Where is this dog from?
Oh, you can Google it. I don't know. It's probably from Google.
So let's do it again. So the dog in Taiwan is wang wang.
And the one in the USA is woof woof or bow wow wow. Okay.
What about cat?
Cat. So I'll go first. USA is meow.
So in Chinese, the same meow.
Meow.
Just more, mild. Meow.
I really like the Japanese version. It's nya nya. It's just so weird, right? It's so crazy. I don't know. Yeah, right? Nya nya. I was just like,
if our cat makes that sound,
I'll be so scared.
I
Get
know.
out. Go back
my
to the
goodness.
wild.
Really? That's Japanese.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So we already said the one for bird earlier in the episode is tweet tweet. What about in Chinese?
Choo choo choo.
Choo choo choo. I like that. That's cute.
I think that sounds more like a bird, right?
I agree.
Like tweet tweet doesn't. No.
No, just
Right.
no. Shutting
No,
down on the
no,
tweet tweet.
no. Tweet
Yeah,
tweet is
sorry,
weird.
Tweety.
Oh yeah. That's...
Yeah. So that was. What about fish?
Oh my god, we don't have fish sound.
Oh really? In USA, there's goop goop.
We will have blah 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 blah. But that's just
That's you. That's not Taiwan. That's Anita's fish
no,
sound.
because the fish will have like a bubble coming out of their mouth. So
No.
we're gonna say blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but it's funny because in Taiwan, so many Taiwanese people love fish. You would think there would be a sound for it.
But to be honest, fish doesn't make any sound
That's
unless it's a
true.
whale or something else.
Oh, that's
you
true.
know.
Who's raising a whale, Anita?
Oh.
All right. So that's very interesting. So anything?
Another one I wanted to say, the rooster.
A rooster.
What is the sound
This is
in
so
America?
ridiculous.
Everybody listen to this ridiculous sound.
Okay, so in the USA, we have a lot of roosters. Okay, so it's very normal to try to copy the animal that you have, especially at farms. And so roosters go cock-a-doodle-doo.
What is this thing? You tell me.
Well-
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Well, what about Taiwan? Oh, that's definitely directly translated right there.
See?
Yeah. And
Oh my
then,
God.
And then Japanese is koke-koko.
That's Okay.
It's very
It's
similar to
somewhat-
Chinese,
yeah,
right?
somewhat
But
makes
I love
sense.
English. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
I don't. What, you guys imagine the rules are really talking to you or something?
Yeah, and we also use it to wake up people sometimes. So they're like,
To
hey,
annoy
buddy,
people to wake up some.
cock-a-doodle-doo.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this one is so crazy. That in America, I was like, what?
Yep. Well, we
I
do
love
crazy
this one.
things. All right.
Here's
Any-
the animal sounds for you, and the last one would be the things happen to be our guilty pleasure that we would like to do. I will let Eric to tell you guys about the story.
So we all have guilty pleasures, and
That's true.
and so guilty pleasures are things that we all don't like to tell other people because when we do them, we feel bad. But
Because it's
because if someone else saw us doing that, they'd be like, "Oh my god!"
we're super judgmental.
Yes, but while we're doing it, it feels so good. Okay, so I guess I'll share my guilty
do.
pleasure. So on Friday every week, when after I get done helping all my amazing students on Amazing Talker or doing life coaching, I get a little bit sleepy and I want to watch a movie with this crazy lady next to me. But before I do that, I must have a chocolate bar. Okay, and so normal people when they eat chocolate, they'll like eat a bite and savor it and enjoy it for a little bit of time. Me, I just smashed the entire chocolate bar in my mouth
In like 5 minutes.
in 5 minutes, and I'm just super pleased with life for 30 minutes, and then
Yeah.
I get a stomach ache because I ate too much chocolate way too fast.
Nice story. Good job, Eric.
Yeah, well, and the best part about this story is that sometimes I eat it so fast that chocolate like falls and like gets in weird places.
Yeah, like you will find some like chocolate stain on his like belly or toes. I was like, why?
Or on my pants.
Yeah, I was like, what happened?
It's like, dude, what are you doing?
What are you doing with that chocolate?
Yeah, it's
that poor chocolate.
Yeah, right. I like abused it or something. That poor chocolate bar.
Beat up the chocolate.
Yeah. What about you, Anita?
I will save it for our buyme.coffee.com. So if you're interested in it, go there to find out what is my guilty pleasure.
Oh, you heard it here. So that is your call to action. Definitely come to buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica. Very easy to find. Come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun over there. A lot of funny, quirky episodes.
And some quote unquote inappropriate content.
Yes, so warning label right there. If you want to get really personal with Eric and Anita, you have to come check it out.
Yeah, hide your child.
Yes, and maybe your wife or husband too. Okay.
Who's
All right.
coming to?
Yeah, I don't know. Just bring everybody. Okay.
Anyways, the final piece of information we would like to share. Me personally, like I already mentioned, understand the dog's personal traits, consider the dog's lifestyle and your style in your lifestyle, see if the guys will match with each other. If not, yeah, it will probably be the better that you find some other pets suitable for you. And the second one is while you are adopting a dog or a cat, especially a dog, you have to also are willing to devote it to train the dog. It's very important. So those are the two pieces of information I would like to share with you guys.
And if you are a foreigner in Taiwan, this is my little special point of view that I wanted to share. If you have ever considered wanting to raise fish, Taiwan is the best place to do it because they are dirt cheap for all of the supplies and you can get really exotic, beautiful fish
That's true.
there. And it is a wonderful place to start experimenting how to own your first aquarium. So that's a little tip to you, to all you foreigners listening to this. Wonderful place for fish. I had lots of fish when I was in Taiwan. It was a great time. So that's our last little point for today. Finally, thank you so much for listening to this today. If you are still listening, you're awesome for staying all the way till the very end. Please do us a huge favor of subscribing to our YouTube channel at Taiwanica Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Taiwanica Podcast. And give us a hi, say hello. If you want to have a special podcast episode made, just send us a message on any of the places and we'll be happy to put it into our consideration list.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much again for being here with us.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, so we will see you again.
Next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Taiwanica. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.